This is the story of the most heated rivalry in college basketball. So basically, there's this university in Louisville named the University of Louisville, founded in 1798. Originally named the Jefferson Seminary, it eventually closed, then reopened as two new colleges. The Louisville Collegiate and Louisville Medical Institutes grew in size and merged with the new law school in the area to create the University of Louisville in 1846. The University of Kentucky, originally Kentucky A&M, and its founding in 1865 in Lexington, Kentucky, as a land-grant institution dependent on the Transylvania University there, or what was then Kentucky University, had a rivalry with the University of Louisville, eventually bleeding that over to Kentucky A&M. It eventually became a state institution in 1878 and grew in size and became a co-ed school, eventually growing to the University of Kentucky in 1914, after being called the Kentucky State Institution in 1908, where it moved to its current sprawling Lexington campus. Kentucky had their first basketball series at Louisville in 1913 and 1922. Kentucky's basketball program was becoming a truly dominant university in the later 1910s. After having a rough first few seasons, and Louisville barely even having a basketball team for most of the time, except for when they were coached by team captains or an unpaid, tentative coach. Kentucky led that series 7-2, where Louisville went 1-3 at home and Kentucky went 4-1. Later, though, they would have their next matchup at Madison Square Garden in the spot to get some of their players in the Olympic Games on March 27th, 1948. These are now two different teams 25 years apart. 18 years before that game, Kentucky hired their most influential and famous coach, Adolph Rupp, the son of two German immigrant families from Kansas, who coached the Wildcats amazingly under his tenure, who at that point had a combined record of 322-70. Whereas the Louisville Cardinals were not as good, withholding a few seasons in the 20s and 30s. The Cardinals had losing seasons consistently, and it only got their first paid coach in 1944 in Bernard Peck Hickman, amassing a record of 84-20. The best coach for the Cardinals so far. But the talent and coaching gap was far too insurmountable. The score was 91-57 Wildcats. That very year, the Cardinals shifted to a Division I school and joined the Ohio Valley Conference before being an independent a year after that. In 1951, they would play in Raleigh for a spot at the Elite Eight in the NCAA tournament, with the Cats beating the Cardinals yet again 79-68. They won't play again until 1959. Who they also played in the Sweet 16 at Northwestern's gymnasium at this time, but the Cardinals actually beat the Cats 76-61, putting the all-time record at 9-3. You might be asking why the Cats and Cards did not play in the regular season, despite their proximity. Well, it was because Adolph Rupp did not want to play the Cardinals because he saw them as a lesser, smaller school. So they did not play each other all the way until 1983, where Adolph Rupp and Bernard Hickman were long retired. Now we have 10-year head coach at Kentucky, Joe B. Hall, with a record of 150-82 up to that point, and a record of 294-77 from Louisville's new head coach, Denny Crum. They played each other in the Elite Eight at Tennessee's Arena, and an 80-68 overtime upset from Louisville, which made both coaches realize they needed to reignite the rivalry. So every year they would play their game in late November or early December. Several times the Cats and Cards were ranked, and that's why it was so influential and became so hate-filled, was because of the proximity and because of the talent. And because of Rick Pitino. Originally coached the Cats in 1989 to 1997, Pitino joined the Cardinals as their head coach in 2001. With this decade having the closest record and a 5-4 Cat lead, this all went to overdrive as both teams were now consistently ranked good basketball schools, especially going into the 2010 season. But in the early 2010s, Pitino was fired for a certain scandal that was mostly released to the public because of Wildcat fans in 2017. He was replaced by Xavier University coach Charlie Mack, who mutually left UofL in 2022, then being replaced by the most disgraceful, treacherous coach of all time, Kenny Payne. after being fired after two terrible, horrible seasons, going 12-52 all time. During this, Kentucky was coached by John Calipari since 2009, who coached the Cats but eventually retired in 2024. So now the two programs are getting new coaches the same year. Louisville gets Pat Kelsey, then 3-year head coach of Charleston University in South Carolina, and Kentucky gets previous player for Kentucky and previous head coach of BYU, Mark Pope. Their first year they played each other at Rupp Arena, with it being a very close game, the closest game since Louisville's win over Kentucky in 2020. But ultimately the home crowd was too much for the Cards, and the Cats beat the Cards 93-85. After an otherwise great season by Pat Kelsey, except for a first round out by Woodford in March Madness of 2025, and Pope got to the Sweet 16. The next year, however, would tell a different tale. For one, the game would be played on November 11th, 2025, the earliest game they've ever played in the regular season against each other. Secondly, Kelsey had one of the best portals in the league, getting the Cardinals one of the best shooting teams. Also, this will be played at Louisville's home, KFC Yum Center, a massive sports and recreational waterfront complex off the Ohio River, sponsored by Yum Brands, the people who own KFC, Taco Bell, and Pizza Hut. Open for the UofL basketball 2010 to 2011 season, it's the largest collegiate basketball-only arena in the United States, and the second largest collegiate general sports arena, only behind Syracuse's JMA Wireless Dome. Nevertheless, they played. After the first 5 minutes, Louisville looked very strong, with their first point coming from a free throw at the very start, and then they got 4 3-point shots and only 1 2-point shot to make it 15, whereas the Cats only made 2 3-points and made 3 2-points, making it 15 and 10 in the first 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, Kentucky shortened that lead to get to 22-25, but had 2 fouls called on them, helping Louisville get 4 free points. The rest came from only 2-point shots. The same is said for Kentucky, who outscored Louisville here, getting 4 2-point shots, 1 free throw shot, and 1 3-point shot. In the next 5 minutes, Louisville massively outscored Kentucky, with 16 points added to their score and only 6 added to Kentucky's. With 4 2-point shots, 2 free throws, 2 3-points versus Kentucky's 1 2-point dunk and 4 3-throw points. The 5 minutes before the half is when Kentucky locked in. This had Kentucky lead in points made 18-10, with 3 free throw points, 3 2-point shots, and 1 3-point shot. And Kentucky had 4 2-point shots, 3 3-point shots, 1 free throw point, making the score 53-46 with the Cards at the half. Needless to say, the Cats have not felt this uncomfortable in years from the Cards. Pat Kelsey has a really well-coached team and a really well-talented team, which cannot be said for the Cats, who have been completely outscored in threes by the Cards this entire game. So, coming out of the locker room, they needed to get some stuff done. Especially since this was at home, the crowd was insane at Louisville. It even got crazier going into the second half. The first 5 minutes of the second half was Louisville's response. 16-8 points made from either side, making it 69-54. Kentucky could start to feel the game slip a little bit after a controversial coach challenge to a Kentucky outball. Pope loses the chance to challenge for the rest of the game. The Cards' points came from 4 3-point shots, a 2-point dunk, and 2 free throw points, and the Cats with 3 2-point shots and 3 free throw points. Then the next 5 minutes made the game a bit better for the Cats when Michael Brown gets injured, but it looks like a cramp, so he might be able to come back. The Cards still outscored the Cats yet again, 12-10 points for that segment, with the Cards having a 20-point lead with 11 minutes left. The scorings for Kentucky were 2 free throws, 2 3-point shots, and a 2-point field goal, with the Cards having 2 3-point shots, a 2-point shot, and 4 3-throw points, and after a successful challenge by glorious comrade Pat Kelsey, It's Louisville ball and initial Kentucky ball. Anyways, now it's the final 10 minutes. Kentucky has to control this game or they will lose, which is exactly what they end up doing. They finally outscore the Cards this fast 5-minute segment with a significant 18-6 points made for either side, with the Cats getting 4 3-point shots, 2 2-point goals, and 2 free throw points, with the Cards only having 2 2-point field goals and 2 free throw points. Now, it all comes down to this. The final 5 minutes. Will that spark that Kentucky just showed be enough to topple the Cards? Or was the points gained by the Cardinals so far out of reach now? Well, almost immediately the Cats get their score within 4 points, after the Cards complete a free throw by getting a 2-point shot and a 3-point shot. But the Cards won't let that happen. They can't let that happen. They get a 2-point and a free throw to make the score 91-86 after a successful Kentucky field goal. With 2 minutes left, Kentucky tries desperately to get a few more 3 points or just a foul, but they only manage to foul Louisville, which makes the game 95-88 after both teams successfully trade buckets, but the Wildcats need more than that to win. After several more foul calls on the Cats, causing the Cards to line up for free throws, they missed 5 3-point shots and only hit 1. But time slowly marches down to 0. The Cards win it. 96-88 would be the final score in the basketball game, making the all-time record between the two 40-18, 35-15 in the modern series, with the Cats still leading, making this the arguably ruining the Cats for the rest of the foreseeable future, with yet another loss to then-ranked number 17 Michigan State the following week. Oh, and the Cats dropped to being number 12, and the Cards went up to being ranked number 6 after another win against Ohio that Saturday. So, yeah, just another game. Go Cards. Bye.